thank everybody for coming here. This is a very important day for us. Excuse me for a minute because I knew him personally. We had a murder last Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, that we was informed. Just wanted to say that it was one of our local resident, Norma Matko, who I think was age 69, that was murdered, and a resident in Barnesville. Right from the beginning, the local police department to my detectives and road deputies, to where it went and spun off from there, the boots on the ground and all the cooperation that went across the state to all the different agencies up to the federal level, worked diligently, day after day, hour after hour, to bring this to a conclusion today. It was nothing but really hard work, a lot of time, a lot of hours, and good work from everybody that we're here today. And from here on out, the rest of the information is the subject, the one that did the murder, is deceased. The more details about that would go on. The female, the daughter of the victim, is safe and will be returning home. So on the outcome, has turned out to the best because we was worried about the daughter. So the daughter is safe. But I just want to say that of everybody involved, we worked hard, they worked hard, and to come to the end and put this to rest. So just want to thank everybody involved.
Hi, I'm Chief Davis of the Cuyahoga Falls Police Department. We were informed Thursday by the family of a missing person, and then we had been contacted by Belmont County that her mother had been killed. So we knew right away it was important to find this person. Really, just from the get-go, our detectives just worked nonstop, working with the Belmont County investigators and then the federal investigators to find and locate the daughter, because we knew obviously she possibly was in danger. So we really couldn't ask for a better result than her being found alive. She's been through a lot, so to be honest, I'd ask the media kind of give her some time. If she's willing to talk, I'm sure she'll reach out later. But she's going to need some time to heal from this ordeal. So we're just very fortunate with the partnerships that we have, that she was able to be tracked down and found due to the federal authorities. So I'd like to credit our Detective Bureau. I mean, they worked nonstop on this since Thursday night to try to find her and get a safe resolution for her and her family. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Fortunato, and I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge with the FBI's Cleveland office. Thank you for being here today, and thank you to Chief Davis and Sheriff Lucas for having us here today. As previously stated, there are two crimes in two different locations, Cuyahoga Falls and Belmont County. The homicide in Belmont County and the kidnapping in Cuyahoga Falls, we believe, were committed by one individual. The investigations remain open to ensure there are no other individuals involved with these horrific times, but we do believe that there is no immediate threat to the community right now from what we've seen. As with any investigation, we are very much interested in learning the why behind the violent acts and any ideologies of the person involved. Over the weekend, this past weekend, the FBI was informed of the murder here in Belmont County and the disappearance of her adult daughter, who was missing from Cuyahoga Falls. Both these investigations were worked by all the folks you see here today, and in addition of a big assist with the Cleveland Division of Police and also the New Orleans office of the FBI. Law enforcement identified a suspect in the murder and the disappearance, a gentleman by the name of James Edward Hawley, a.k.a. Ahmad Ben David, age 47, a resident of Cleveland, Ohio. Law enforcement was able to determine the fleeing suspect's location, who was traveling with the abducted victim. They were finally put down and located to a hotel in Pineville, Louisiana. Law enforcement officers from a variety of agencies responded once they were put down to a specific location. In fact, some Belmont County detectives and some FBI agents from Cleveland, and also some Cleveland police detectives had deployed this weekend once it looked like, deployed to Louisiana this weekend once it looked like we had a firm location of him. Of note, law enforcement had learned that the suspect had posted numerous photos of himself with firearms on social media, and had made statements online into individuals known by him and ultimately known to us, law enforcement, that he wanted to, quote, kill some cops. As a result, federal charges were pursued and obtained this weekend for interstate threatening communications, for posts the subject had made threatening specified individuals, and for being a felon in possession of a firearm due to photos the subject had posted online of him holding in possession of weapons. Significant development last night, of course. Mr. David, as you may know, was fatally shot by FBI agents during the execution of the aforementioned arrest warrant based on those charges last evening. Unfortunately, an FBI agent was also wounded in the process of that search warrant's execution and is currently undergoing treatment. In accordance with our FBI policies, that shooting incident will be investigated by the FBI's inspection division. In fact, today, agents are deploying from Washington, D.C. to conduct that investigation. It's a pretty thorough and objective process and is conducted expeditiously. Unfortunately, can't provide additional details about the execution of the arrest warrant last night and the fatal shooting and wounding of our employee, my colleague, because it's still under investigation. The victim from Cuyahoga Falls was safely recovered, as was mentioned, and has been interviewed by law enforcement last night and this morning. And thankfully, she'll soon be reunited with her family. We obviously also want to express our condolences to the victim, Mrs. Matko, for their tragic loss here in Belmont County. And I can tell you, after in all my time as FBI agent and in law enforcement, I've never seen a better display of boots on the ground teamwork like the sheriff mentioned, not just here, but down in New Orleans. The fact that we had folks on the ground this week in New Orleans speaks volumes of what those individual detectives and agents thought about solving this murder and the kidnapping and disappearance as soon as they could. So I couldn't be prouder of the folks involved for that. So thank you to everyone and my colleagues for their involvement in bringing this to as rapid conclusion as we possibly could. With that concludes my comments, and we're happy to take a few questions.
I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the relationship between the suspect and the victims and the victim's daughter.
And like I said, not going into great details, there was a relationship between the two, and that just recently that broke up or wasn't dated, but there was a relationship between them at one time.
I'm sure you're still looking into the why, but why did he come to Barnesville to see the...
Well, there's going to be a lot of part of that. Like I said, this is still an ongoing investigation, and them questions that we want to answer, but there'll be still a lot of part of the investigation detail-wide that we're not going to release because the homicide is solved. Our main thing now is the family and the victims and supporting them.
Now, the daughter that was found with them, this was considered a kidnapping? This was nothing more than a kidnapping?
It started as a disappearance. We were trying to figure out precisely what happened with the folks here, but it appears right now that it was a kidnapping.
Do you know if she was kidnapped from Akron or if she was kidnapped from this location?
That part, I don't know we can go into details yet. We're still working through some of those things to figure out not just the why, but some of the circumstances behind it. And as you can imagine, the kidnapping victim has been through a lot, and in due time we'll talk with her about a lot of those things. But we're very sensitive to when victims go through the things that she specifically has gone through this weekend. We going to give them our time and space to kind of take stock of things, and we'll be talking more about those.
In the murder, what was the cause of death? How was she killed?
It was a fatal shot by a firearm.
And Sheriff, do you believe she was killed on Thursday?
Well, that's something from the reports, the autopsy. That's for the expert to determine. We got the report Thursday, so that's when it's all started. The coroner from that will determine more to the time of death.
And when you started, you had said you got a little emotional. This was somebody you knew, so this is hard on your department.
Yeah, these were good people, are good people, and we live beside, we're neighbors. So it does come on, but you see here, like I said, boots on the ground, everybody made this a priority, and you look at that from when it happened to where we're at now, the case is closed, and we're at the end, so we're here for the family now.
You mentioned his ideologies. What were his ideologies?
Well, right now to the ideology is violence. Not to be flippant, but that's the core thing we're seeing now. But I think in 2020, when you look at people's social media, you start to assess things. But we're going to do a good, as we do with any murder or any involving federal charges with circumstances like this. We're going to take a good hard look at what's behind there. Again, we don't think there's any immediate threat to the community, but it does help us, I think, as law enforcement kind of understand why people do things they do and why now and that sort of thing. And those questions won't be answered quickly, but we'll be exceedingly thorough and find out the answer to that.
Is it possible that he was a member of an organization with these same violent ideologies?
I don't think so right now. I would say, we're still conducting an investigation, but I wouldn't assess as any sort of overarching organization that he was a member of that we'd have some concern that there's some second-order effects from it.
Last question? Anybody? No?
So no more arrests are expected then? No further arrests?
No arrests immediately, but obviously we're looking to see if anybody else may have had foreknowledge of this. Again, no immediate threat to the community, but investigation is still ongoing. I think should there be additional arrests, I think it would be fairly quick. I mean, this, for our respective departments, this has been our number one priority in solving this murder, which was done. And we're also now trying to find out, any stone unturned that might tell us a bit more about, again, the why, but others, if they were involved, but right now looking no immediate arrest, but investigation is ongoing.
And the victim's car was found on the west side of Cleveland, is that correct?
That's true. The victim car was found in Cleveland.